Greetings everyone, my name is Dominic and today you're tuning in to the Comic Book Report, where we review comic books and graphic novels so you can get an idea of what to read. And today I've prepared another quick unboxing for all of you. We're taking a look at the Question Omnibus Volume 1 from DC Comics. And I'll say right from the jump, this is a series that I really enjoyed reading some of back in trade paperback before I sold them off some years ago. I always meant to check out this omnibus when it was released, and I never quite had the funds together. And after a Black Friday sale over at the channel sponsor Organic Price Books, I finally went ahead and picked up a copy, and I'm so happy I did. Before we jump in today, if you're interested in picking up your own copy or checking out some other comic book collected editions, I highly encourage you to go to the channel sponsor, again, organicpricebooks.com. You can find a link for it in the video's description, and if you see anything there you like, you can even use my discount code at checkout, The Comic Book Report, to save $2 off of your order. Please note if you use my affiliate link or code to make a purchase, I will earn a small commission, but it's a fantastic way to support this channel. Thank you for considering. Now let's go ahead and get unboxing. So this is my box from organicpricebooks.com. I obviously took the shipping label off, but as I break into the box, I do notice that we have some packing peanuts now. I know they are biodegradable, which is really nice. It's a little bit different than some of the other shipping material I've had from them in the past, but I'm happy to report my book came in pristine, perfect condition, no complaints from me whatsoever. And now that I've liberated my book from the box, we can go ahead and remove this plastic wrap, and I can go ahead and begin stretching out the spine of this omnibus edition. And while I do that, just a couple things about this omnibus. So as I mentioned, this is the Question Omnibus Volume 1, and this is the first volume of a 2-volume set, with Volume 2 releasing earlier in 2024 if I'm not mistaken. This work was primarily written by Dennis O'Neil and primarily illustrated by Dennis Cowan. As far as what this omnibus collects, for those interested, it includes the Question Issues 1 through 27, the Question Annual Issue 1, Green Arrow Annual Issue 1, and Detective Comics Annual Issue 1. The book itself comes in at 950 pages, it has nice glossy print paper stock, a glued binding, and of course is an oversized hardcover. Okay, now that I've done some preliminary stretching, let's go ahead and look at this volume, beginning with the front cover of the dust jacket. I am happy to say we do have a reprinting of the first issue cover, which I love to see. I think the issue 1 of the Question for this series is just one of the most evocative and interesting covers I've ever seen, and I think it was a perfect choice for the front of this dust jacket. Transitioning to the spine of the dust jacket, we have the great Question font retained with the creators, a little snapshot thumbnail of that cover image again, and then of course a Volume 1 and the publisher. I think that this is all really nicely laid out. I love that we have the font retained. I love the color of that Question logo, the kind of pink. I think it just looks really standout and just interesting. On the back of the book, we have the Question standing over a beaten and bloody body. Certainly an evocative image, but I do think it does kind of give you an impression of what you can expect within this book. We also have a nice description of the omnibus, pricing information, what it collects, everything like that. We also have a recommended 17 plus age rating for those wondering. I think this is again largely due to violence and kind of more adult themes. Admittedly, I've yet to read this entire omnibus, although I mentioned earlier I did have some of this run in trade paperback, so I know I've read some of this material, but it's been, I don't know, maybe a decade since I've really revisited this title. I was eager to do so, and so far the couple of issues I've read since I recorded this unboxing, I have absolutely loved. I am right back in hooked to the Question. Wanted to showcase that dust jacket one more time, this time showing the interior flaps, which I also enjoyed greatly. Under the dust jacket, we do have some art printed on the hardback book itself. We have a memorable issue cover reprint here on the front. We have, interestingly enough, a different font choice for the spine under the dust jacket, and then another image from the collection on the back. These are all just, again, fun images lifted from the contents of this collection, but I think that they could have done a lot worse than what we have here under the dust jacket. I think it looks really striking. Everything is super high glossed. I don't know if you can tell that, but it's definitely glossy as far as the hardback book itself. Looking at the binding, my edition has a little bit of an eye. Hopefully it opens up a bit more as I read through, but no real gutter loss here, or if there is, not too much. We still have some paneling that leaves a little bit of white space, so I'm not really too concerned on that. I think the binding looks pretty sharp. Okay, and with that out of the way, we can jump into the collection proper. And as we go ahead and start, we have some black end pages, a title page, we have a publication information page, kind of the creative breakdown title page, followed by a full numbered table of contents, which I love to see. A good table of contents in an omnibus is a personal favorite, cherry on top for collections like these. Absolutely delighted. After that, we jump right into issue 1, which I liked, and we're off to the races. Okay, so a lot of you might be asking, what is the question? Why should I care about this book? To give even more context, this run came out during the late 80s, and it is definitely a celebrated run. I know for me, I love that Cowan artwork. I think it's absolutely gorgeous. Denny O'Neil is a comic writer around this period that I think is of note, absolutely. I've enjoyed so much stuff from him in the past as well. But this dynamic duo presented a visceral and memorable crime-noir vigilante kind of series. They took this character from an old Charleston Comics character from the 60s created by Steve Ditko, and they really modernized him for a new generation. Our main character, the Question, or Charles Victor Zaz, also known as Vic Sage, is a news reporter or journalist who really tries to get under corruption in the city, tries to expose it, and basically right wrongs. But by night and in his spare time, he dons a faceless mask, suit and fedora, and tries to stop crime. This collection starts us right in the middle of some action, and without spoiling too much, we basically find the Question at a really low point. He has to get some further training, adopting a kind of Zen-like philosophy that he incorporates into his crime fighting, and we get further down to the root of this character and what drives him. One of the things I remember enjoying about this run is just how layered it is. We have some great just plotting and pacing, some great dialogue, but we also have some bigger questions being asked throughout this run. We have some philosophical underpinnings certainly, and it's just really one heck of a ride. Even across the first handful of issues I've been revisiting the last couple nights, I'm really blown away by the panel layouts, the experimentation we have there. I think every aspect of this is just visually striking and compelling. I also find myself just totally engrossed in the drama of Vic Sage or the Question. I love that we kind of have to rebuild this man in our first issue or two, and then we kind of set our feet on the course that will go for the rest of the run. I know a lot of people consider this a quintessential or classic DC run, and I certainly would agree with that camp from what I've read thus far. I should also say I absolutely commend DC for releasing omnibuses celebrating some of their lesser known heroes. I think that this is kind of a cult favorite, and I'm so happy that he gets justice in this omnibus and the volume 2. I know my history with the Question, I believe, started when I saw him in Justice League Unlimited, that animated television series, I believe by Bruce Timm and company. Anyway, I just thought he was a really enigmatic and interesting character. I got to see him a bit more in the pages of just miscellaneous DC Comics over the years, most notably in the 52 Omnibus. I read and reviewed that whole omnibus. He's a major player in that omnibus, but I always really wanted to know more about this character. When I had the chance to get those trade paperbacks years and years ago, I started reading this very run, and I found myself really enjoying the kind of darker, grittier aspects of it. I think for people that like their kind of crime-fighting superhero books to edge more on the side of straight-up crime, detective-y, or noir, think something like Frank Miller's Daredevil. Like, if that strikes a chord to you, I think that this would maybe be in your wheelhouse. I do think it's a really, really stellar run, again, from what I've read thus far. I believe this omnibus also has a crossover issue of Green Arrow, which, if I'm not mistaken, during this time I think was Mike Grell. I know that tonally is kind of a similar feeling kind of book. I know that DC was really hitting on all cylinders around this era, at least in my opinion. Some truly unforgettable works coming out of this publisher around this era, and I think The Question is a great example of that. For this unboxing video, my goal is really to give you an idea of what this collection is, kind of the build of it, what it contains, a little bit about it. I'm really not trying to go into anything spoiler heavy here. If you would like to see more thoughts on this collection after I finish it, please go ahead and drop a comment. I would certainly try to get a review out on the channel for all of you guys, especially if I continue to enjoy it in the way I am thus far. One thing as I kind of flip toward the back of this collection, some may be wondering, does this omnibus include extras? I know that's really common in a lot of omnibuses, but you never really can guarantee that, or at least what the extent of extras may be. Well, I'm happy to say that the question does have some extras. Interestingly enough, we basically have all of the letters pages for these issues. They are called The Answer, which I think is really fun considering the whole title is The Question. So that's all very fun and clever there. I will note, I usually prefer when we have letters pages after each issue rather than all included at the back. I do think that this helps not break your momentum issue to issue. You can kind of binge read issues without being bogged down by letters pages, but it's almost like you have to map an index. Okay, when is this letters page? What was going on again? So I've never really seen a letters page section like this where they include it all at the end, but that's what we have here. After that, we do have a couple miscellaneous extras, but nothing too extensive. And really, that is your quick unboxing for the Question Omnibus Volume 1 from DC Comics. I know that this wasn't just released or anything like that, but this was a huge bucket list collection goal for me. I finally picked it up after a great sale, and I couldn't wait to talk about it. So that's why I went ahead and justified doing this unboxing. I hope you enjoy it. Maybe somehow this has missed your radar, and you can now have a chance to pick it up, or at least consider it for yourself. If you've read or enjoyed the question, I would definitely love to hear it in the comments. Let's get talking about it. Are there any other question works you can recommend? Or generally any other great late 80s or early 90s DC Comics? Would love to get some good recommendations on that front as well. And until next time, this has been the Comic Book Report. Thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to leave your like, comment, and maybe check out another video on your way out. Thanks everyone. Bye.